Hello, Canada, and welcome to the show. As always, I'm your host, Jason McNeil, and this is Cup of Joe Canada, where we have news, views, and things that amuse. And today, we're going to discuss Canadian values. Now, I want to discuss Canadian values because obviously it's been in the news lately, and whether you think there are Canadian values or there's not Canadian values or you agree with Canadian values, I'm sure you've heard about it and I'm sure you have an opinion on it. So, recently it's been a bit of a controversy because Kelly Leitch, I don't know much about her, including how to pronounce her name, but she's been bringing up the whole idea of Canadian value screening for people migrating to Canada. And that's created a bit of a controversy, right? Now, again, like I said, I don't know a lot about her. I don't know if she's racist. I don't know what her view of Canadian values is. I've heard her talk. She doesn't sound like a racist to me. But here's what I do know. I do know that there are Canadian values, and I know two things about them. I know, one, they exist, and two, they're not remotely racist. In fact, I'll go one further and say that if I said Canadian values and you instantly thought like white people thoughts, white people values, maybe you're a bit racist, you know? Now, I say this because I grew up in a place called Thorncliffe Park, okay? Now, some people may not know, but in the time that I grew up there, it was, I would call it the epitome of multiculturalism. It really was like I would call it a testament to what Canada could be. You had people from every race, every nationality, every group. I might be a bit naive. I assume everybody here is Canadian. And that sounds silly, right? But at no point do I look at skin color and think, oh, where did you come from? However, I also think that embracing where you came from, or not even where you came from, but where your family came from, right? I'm Irish, Italian, and German. But I didn't come from there, and my parents didn't come from there either. Their parents came from there. And embracing that and celebrating it, it doesn't disqualify you from being Canadian. Nor does it make you seem like more of an immigrant. And again, that speaks to Canadian values, right? All my friends that I grew up with, a lot of them, I don't even know if they were born here or did they come here, were their parents born here. It didn't even matter. But the truth is they were very proud of where their heritage was from, and they're proud Canadians as well. So I don't see it as a racial thing. And maybe I'm naive. Maybe it's just, where I grew up. I don't know. I feel like what concerns me is media fans this perception. Right? Media fans the perception that it's a racial thing, that it's a racist, that there's racism in Canada, and that what people say is Canadian values. If a white person says Canadian values, maybe it's a racist thing. Right? Well, here's the thing. In Canada, let's look at some recent incidents, right? Like the burning of the Peterborough Mosque, right? Some racist or some religious bigot or person who doesn't like Muslims set fire to a mosque, right? That's a terrible thing. What's Canadian is the response, right? The Jewish community, the Hindu community, the Christian community in the area, they all came together. They pitched in and they rebuilt the mosque. That's Canadian values. But media wants to perpetuate, wait a minute, someone burned the mosque. Racism is here. Racism's here to stay. You know what I mean? There was a lady who had her hijab pulled off in Flemington Park, place where close to where I grew up. Again, the response was hundreds of people from the community filling the streets the next day in solidarity to say that is not what we accept. That is unacceptable behavior. That's not how we are in Canada. But the media wants to focus on someone did this and that means there's hatred. There's hatred. There's bigotry. Everywhere you go, there's going to be bigotry. But in Canada, we marginalize that. In Canada, when you spout off your bigotry, you're put in the corner. You're not taken seriously. You're called a kook. These are Canadian values, right? So I feel like regardless of how you feel about the Conservative Party or Kelly Leitch, we should actually focus on what are Canadian values, right? At the end of the day, people migrate to Canada from all over the world, right? And they come here because of what Canadian values are, what they see as Canadian values. So surely, asking some questions and screening people to see, okay, what are your beliefs? What do you think should be happening over here? And it's not going to be no immigration and we should only accept certain groups, and that's not Canadian, right? Again, maybe I'm being naive. Maybe I'm overlooking the fact that, certain people might write things and call them Canadian values that are not. But at the end of the day, I believe, again, we have an open society. We're accepting, we're open, we're inclusive. And as a society, the list of values is going to match that. Did you know we already have a bit of a Canadian values question on the test? When you become a citizen, when you take the citizenship test, it does ask you, what are some Canadian values? Working hard, taking care of your family, being responsible for yourself. These are Canadian values. Now, are you telling me we don't have more? More things that are distinctly... Because again, I grew up with people from all races, nationalities, backgrounds. They were all very proud of their backgrounds. But at the end of the day, we do have commonalities. We do have a set of values, a value system that I don't think is the same as anywhere else. I don't think it's just like country A or country B or country C. I think Canada's the best. I think we are the freest country in the world. And again, I don't understand why we would be so short-sighted as to say, look, come to Canada, celebrate your country's heritage, celebrate your moral values and your code of ethics or whatever, and overlook the fact that, yeah, when we have our own to celebrate as well. Right? That's the whole point. You celebrate where you're from, we accept it, and then we take where everyone's from. We have commonalities, we have common things that Canadians think are good and right, and we shouldn't be ashamed of that at all, in my opinion. We should be very, very proud. As always, that's how I feel. I'm Jason McNeil, Cup of Joe Canada. I'd love to know how you guys feel. Feel free to hit me on the website, email averagejoe@cupofjoecanada.com, and I'm always on the Twitter, right? You know the Twitter? @CupofJoeCanada.